I know so many normies, politically uninitiated people who believe the stupidest, craziest, insane stuff ever. It's blue anon. It's blue anon, right?
Oh, I love that phrase.
Me too.
It is. But like they're screaming that Donald Trump staged an insurrection, and like, you know, I'm just like, I know, but like, what about when like the feminists stormed into the Senate and congressional buildings like 3 times? Remember
Big
that?
tech's protecting them though. Did you see Urban Dictionary took Blue Anon out?
They put it back.
They did.
They did put it back, but they took it down. So this is the craziest thing. Urban Dictionary, which is supposed to be where you define colloquial terms used in modern settings, deleted Blue Anon. Because Blue Anon was basically saying it is a reference to Democrat voters and individuals who believe unhinged conspiracies about Russian collusion and that mobs and militias are going to storm the Capitol at any moment and they need razor wire. And so Urban Dictionary took it down.
Why?
It's not hate speech. It's not disparaging anybody based on race or gender identity. They took it down because it's always been political. So it's politics.
I thought Urban Dictionary was like where normal people would go and kind of crowdsource the meaning of these up and coming, the kids these days are using these words like yeet or whatever. I don't know what kids are saying these days.
YOLO.
But I was like,
How
I
still don't know what yeet means.
YOLO. Seriously.
You don't know what?
Is it
I still don't know what yeet
Y33T?
means.
Is that yeet?
Yeah. It's like to throw something out.
Yeah, it's like to get rid of it.
Yeah,
Eat
I know, unfortunately.
There's another word. And these dang old kids, they use the skull emoji for laughing instead of the
I'm dead. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
laughed so hard I
dying,
died.
dying.
Literally
Yeah.
dead.
Literally
We
dying.
could do a whole show on Urban Dictionary.
Nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah, but there was a point where Urban Dictionary started banning words that were offensive.
When
Who
was
runs
that?
that?
I don't know.
Huh.
I mean, look at Merriam. I think it was Merriam-Webster that changed. Well, we talked about this before. They changed the definition of gender to create a paradoxical loop.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
They put gender in the definition.
Yeah,
Right. They put the word gender in the definition of gender, so it's like now it becomes a paradox.
Crazy.
Do you remember when Maisie
Or
Hirono?
I'm sorry. It becomes a cursive.
A recursive loop.
Recursion.
Recursion?
Probably
Yeah.
recursion.
Yeah,
Recursion?
I think so. Yeah.
Recursive loop.
Yeah, do you remember when Maisie Hirono was saying that saying the word sexual orientation were offensive?
Oh,
And Merriam-Webster
right.
went in and changed it so that this was obviously a pejorative. It never been before.
This is this is how it works, man. There are a lot of people who need to wake the F up. So we had Clifton Duncan on the show the other day, right? Mm-hmm. He was like he says Broadway veteran, classically trained actor. Everybody apparently loved the sound of his voice.
Oh, me too.
Oh, yeah.
And he was talking about how he's like a liberal guy, and he's still very liberal on policy, but he's like watching all this go down. And most people agree with him. And he's like, I got to say something and speak up. And like, now here he is on the show talking about what's going on in his industry and what he's experiencing. But there are a lot of people who don't pay attention. And they hear in the news some insane thing like, did you hear that Amy Coney Barrett said some like homophobic thing at the trial? Whoa. Or at the confirmation hearing? What did she say? I don't know. It was like apparently like caused a huge like uproar. Like, I can't believe she said what she said. And then all of a sudden you have all these normies who don't pay attention just thinking she said something when she literally didn't.
What do you guys think is the best way to red pill people like that?
I don't like the phrase red pill.
Yeah, it's kind of vague. And it kind of insinuates it's abrupt. Like, because in Neo, when he takes the red pill, he's like shocked into reality.
But I don't want to necessarily entertain the concept that one tribe has all the answers necessarily.
Yeah.
Like when they say, red pills, I say like, sure, but the people who use the phrase red pill aren't always right. And I don't want it to be a tribal thing where you go to someone who might not agree with conservatives. Like Clifton clearly was not conservative. And so his worldview is very, very different from people who are conservative, who are more likely to use those phrases. However, that being said, if we're into the fair assessment and definition of what red pill is, I think Michael Malice's definition, what does he basically say when...
White pilling.
No, red pill. Michael Malice's definition of red pilling is that when you realize the narrative of the corporate press is, it's like...
The cathedral is wrong. They're lying to you.
Yeah, they're lying to you.
Corporate press. So it's all about looking
Big
past the
mainstream media.
corporate press.
Yeah.
It's remarkable when I have a conversation with someone and they're like, look, man, all these people rioting and protesting, yeah, but Trump staged an insurrection. And I'm like, they were banging on the doors of the Supreme Court building when Kavanaugh was there. They changed the definitions in dictionaries to smear the Supreme Court justices they don't like. The women in the pink hats literally stormed into the congressional buildings, occupying every floor, and got Congress shut down.
When was that?
Yeah, that was the day of the Kavanaugh hearings.
2018?
I filmed the left storming Congress a bunch of times.
It happens all the time.
Happens frequently.
And, I mean, I was talking to one of my friends who's a officer in D.C., And he was like, man, it was bad. It was bad. And I was like, yeah, but this happens all the time. Like, how many times have I filmed them storming the Capitol building?
That's
like,
why,
I lost my press pass because I was filming people storming the Capitol building.
Wow.
But
And
that's
they thought
why
that I was with them.
That's why it's crazy that Ashley Babbitt was shot.
Yeah.
And right now, I guess her family and their representation is saying there was no threat to that guy on the other side of the door. No one had breached the door. She was standing up to look through the window, and he was not threatened with anything. She was not flashing anything. He just saw her face. Not only that, there were cops apparently below that allowed those people to go up the stairs.
Wow.
And I don't know how true that is, but I do know in the video you watch the cops like walk up right after she got shot. They're there.
Yeah.
They were literally there. So it's remarkable that you can have all these women storm into, which building was it? It was all of them, wasn't it?
I think it was. I know it was. I filmed it in Hart.
Right. And they're like on every floor
But I
and they're
think
screaming.
there was
Yeah.
a bunch of buildings. Yeah.
And didn't it shut down Congress?
Yeah, I believe so.
They don't call it an insurrection. They didn't say it was an insurrection. They say it was, well, they were fighting for women's rights. That's allowed.
Didn't they get into the elevator with congressmen and scream at them in their
Yep.
faces? Would that not be considered
And
an
those
insurrection?
elevators are for Congress members
Right.
only.
That was wild.
It's making me think about the corporate press and the whole don't question the vote. And it's all like, don't question the vote. It's not, don't question the vote online because we'll ban your account. Don't question the
hold
vote
on.
at the Capitol because it's...
Hold on. Don't even show Donald Trump speaking at CPAC.
Don't quote him saying it.
They they suspended RSBN for 2 weeks and gave him a strike for simply showing Donald Trump speaking. That's insane. Ford Fisher, journalist. His footage of Donald Trump speaking on January 6th was used by a bunch of news outlets because he licenses it out. They banned him. They apparently suspended, not banned, but they suspended his channel, gave him a strike. Meanwhile, the New York Times and all these other outlets used the exact same footage. So I think what we're seeing is it's not so much about the rules are meaningless. What it really is, they're waiting. They're sitting there saying, we only want corporate establishment press. We want the cathedral's narrative to be the only narrative. However, they need an excuse to ban people. There were a lot of problems when they started randomly banning people, and it led to huge press cycles of like, why was this person banned? They didn't break any rules. Then you get people all tweeting like crazy, we demand you reinstate them, and then they're pressured into reinstating people. But when you see someone get banned, and then they say, you posted a video that broke this rule, it's definitive. I'll tell you this. I've had people hit me up, and they're like, yo, Tim, my channel got shut down. I don't know why. Can you help me out? And I'm like, for sure. What happened? It said this video got taken down and now I can't upload. And then I look at the video and I'm like, you showed that news story. Like if I send this to Google and say, hey, this is incorrect, they're going to say, no, it's not. We said you can't show that news story. It's probably bunk. It's probably a BS reason, but it's like, what real argument do you have for like a big boycott or a big push when they broke the rule? So certainly, we still push back and say that shouldn't be a rule. You should be allowed to express your opinion and say what you want to say. But from a technical standpoint, you end up with some low-level Google employee that like I might be able to email or have access to, and they're going to be like, I just can't override my boss. The rules are the rules. We told everybody in January you can't say these things or show these things in any context. So now Donald Trump's speeches are being removed. Ultimately, I think it's going to be really, really good for Trump. I think it's going to be really good for Trump.
I mean, look what happened at Dr. Seuss books. They banned him, and now they're like thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the more you ban something, the more people want to hear it.
But
it's
I
always
Stress
going
and
to be that
effect.
way.
I think with Trump, one of the biggest problems he had was that he couldn't keep his mouth shut. It benefited him in a lot of ways. His ability to control the narrative and bypass the press really angered the press. But they're addicted to him. They're still addicted to him. They're calling it the Trump slump now because ratings across the board have been collapsing. Layoffs are happening. Media's falling apart. But now if Trump comes back and runs again, he can directly email everybody. But that is a lot more arduous than a tweet. We get these emails now. Everyone's like, I guess, getting them from the office of the 45th. And I don't even know how my emails are in that system, but he got them. He got my email. And now it's just going direct to my mailbox. Oh. But think about this. He's not going to be able to tweet or go on YouTube and say anything. So the only thing that will come from Trump is going to be the purest distilled version of Trump without the nonsensical tweets calling someone horseface.
I mean, unless he hops on Parler or something.
Which he should, in my opinion.
He sure should.
I mean, he's got to be careful about drawing the ire of the ISPs. Be cool to see him start up his own ISP and social network.
Isn't Mike Lindell?
He is. Yeah, I have that article pulled up actually.
Is
Yeah,
he
we talked
really?
about that. He
Where
is.
MyPillow,
Awesome.
MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell says he is
Yeah.
launching his own social media site in the next 4 or 5 weeks after being barred from Twitter for election fraud claims. Now, I'll tell you this. Mike Lindell wasn't just barred from Twitter. What did, like, RSBN was he was being interviewed and they turned his mic off?
Yeah, and on Newsmax, one of the anchors stormed off because Michael Lindell wouldn't stop talking about the election.
And you know, like the crazy thing is, man, look, with all due respect, Crowder even talked about the claims Mike Lindell has made. And he's like, I'm sorry, someone gave him bad information. It's just not true. Because like a lot of the stuff Mike Lindell put out, I guess, this is what Crowder was saying. Some of the counties where he claimed impropriety happened don't even use Dominion voting machines. And Crowder confirmed that. Granted, Crowder did his own investigation where he found crazy stuff. He found...
Here's the thing, though. Like, the mainstream media pushed the Russia hoax for years.
Yep.
And we can't censor them. So why should he be censored? Even if he's knowingly putting out false information, which I don't think is the case. But even if he was, he has a right to do that. Everybody has a right to lie. Lying is not illegal.
Technically correct.
Well,
It's still First Amendment protected speech.
It is. Yep. The government has outsourced censorship to corporations. It's how you destroy the Constitution. So what you see in like it's a scaling problem for sure. Think about like the 1700s when you had, I guess, what did they have? Flintlock pistols and muskets. Mm-hmm. And you're walking around this small town. The buildings aren't very big. The population's not particularly dense, but you can be armed, and everybody, a lot of people typically were. Well, until the redcoats started seizing people's weapons, which, led to part of the, a lot of the revolution, a lot of the sentiment towards it. But now look at Chicago, for instance. Ridiculously dense. Buildings everywhere, massive buildings. And on every building in Chicago, there's a sign with a gun and a circle around it and a line going through it. You can't bring weapons in here. So even though you have the right to bear arms, not on private property. Now, I can respect that. If someone's got a store and they're like, I don't want you to come in here with a gun because we got to deal with burglars or whatever, and I don't know who I'm supposed to trust, and I don't want to deal with it. That I get. You can go to the next store. But what happens when there's one store? What if there was only, like, you guys have seen Idiocracy?
I still haven't.
What was it, like
Costco?
Costco.
There was
Welcome
one...
to Costco. I love you.
Yeah, so they show, like, so it's 500 years in the future. Mike Judge is a genius, by the way. And they're going to the store, and it's this massive, like, multi-square mile, Costco. And it's just, that's the future. But what if that was the only place you could go to get resources, and they wouldn't let you speak, and say anything, or bear arms? The issue is, well, if I have to go into this place, like, imagine if a private company bought all of the land in Chicago, and then if you wanted to walk into the city, you lost all your constitutional rights. Like, that's the problem. Because Facebook and these websites are in virtual spaces, they're getting away with doing it. Republicans weren't smart. The Republican politicians were too stupid to do anything about it. But I'll tell you this. I think the Republican politicians, for the most part, are, what's the right word for it? They're like dangling keys to keep Republicans distracted. Well, who was it who was reading Dr. Seuss recently?
Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah.
Kevin McCarthy. Wow,
He didn't even read one of the
So
band
brave.
lines.
Exactly. So brave.
Killed me.
But think about this. That's what you voted for? He's reading one of these books.
Green eggs
Green
and
eggs and
ham.
ham, baby.
Didn't they ban Green Eggs and Ham?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's not
That's
one
like
of
the
them.
most wholesome book.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the best.
So that's what he does. What was he doing? And correct me if I'm wrong, but or if I'm out of turn in saying so. Where was he when they were tearing down statues? Where was he when across the
Very
country?
quiet.
Where was he when in Wisconsin, Black Lives Matter rioters tore down a statue of Hans Christian Heg, a Civil War hero who he was an abolitionist who fought to end slavery, and he gave his life doing so. Where were these Republicans?
A few of them spoke out.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
But look, are we going to sit here and be like Thomas Massey and Rand Paul are cool dudes?
I don't like lumping them in with like Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very different.
Rand Paul's
they're
unique.
He's
Yeah, he's great.
I don't know
Rand
much
and Ron
about
are
Tom
legends.
Massey, but I like him.
Unicorn.
He's great
I
dude
love
too.
Massey.
Unicorn's
He's
pretty
one of my
cool.
favorites.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
they should start a new party. It's cyclical.
But then they don't
Yeah.
win. And so I certainly think they need to do a new party, but Trump is like, we're not going to do it.
Why?
It would work if the left did it too. If the
Yeah,
left started
well,
a progressive social
Progressive.
democrats.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.